and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more. But
is the folks of MAGA starting to see what everybody else has been talking about for so long?
Time to blow it up.
Welcome back to another episode of The Truth TV. I'm Truth Fisher, and today we're about to talk about MAGA and Donald Trump. How MAGA is basically being forced to expose what Donald Trump has going on with Israel. It's been about 5 days since the first strikes on Iran by the U.S. and Israel, and MAGA has been pretty much all over it. I'm not going to say they've been all over the place because all of them pretty much have been saying the same things. Same things that most of us have been saying, which is this particular war has nothing to do with us. Now, MAGA has been kind of split since before Charlie Kirk's, death. And after Charlie Kirk's death, it got worse. Nick Fuentes came out with the America First name, and it was already like a groyper, if I said that right. But now it's almost like they're not coming together, but they are definitely having the same mindset on what needs to happen. You even have Nick Fuentes coming out telling people not to go vote in the midterms, and if they do decide to go vote for the Democrats just so they can rein in Donald Trump.
This is our last chance. We need in 2026 for this administration to be shut the down. What does this administration do other than cover up the Epstein files, embezzle money through government contracts, and bring us to war for Israel? This administration needs to be shut down immediately. Do not vote in the midterms, and if you do, vote for Democrats.
That is something that you would have never heard Nick Fuentes say. Never heard him say that before. But that just lets you know how serious this is. And the crazy thing is, I'm pretty sure most of us is like agreeing with them. Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson. I'm pretty sure most of us is agreeing with the stuff that they are saying right now, because we all know, just like they know, that this is not a war that is sanctioned by us, for us. It's a war on behalf of Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel. It has nothing to do with us. But I'm going to play video of what they're saying and come back and talk about each video and, then give my complete thoughts at the end.
What I do know is most Americans, and it's being proved in polling that's coming out, most Americans are completely against this war because, like you said, the president has made no case for it. We live our ordinary lives and we don't feel threatened by Iran. We don't walk around thinking that in any moment an Iranian ballistic missile is going to land on our head. We don't. Here's what Americans, and I want to read off this list. This is what Americans are focused on. 72% of Americans can't afford health insurance. 58% of Americans can't afford car insurance. 67% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 31% of Americans can't afford their back taxes. 50% of Americans are in credit card debt, massive credit card debt. That's where we are in America.
But if we do remember correctly, all of that was supposed to be changed on day one.
I campaigned with the president. As a matter of fact, I was one of the only Republicans that was out there for Donald Trump when the rest of the neocons, by the way, that are just cheering him on now, had abandoned him and were trying to beat him in a primary and stop him from being president again. I was out there on the front lines for Make America Great Again. And Make America Great Again was supposed to be America first, not Israel first, not any foreign country first, not any foreign people first, but the American people first and our problems. And God bless the Iranian people. I hope to God that they can have a government that is for them and that treats women fairly. But what we have seen happen right now is we have seen over 100 little girls killed at a school from a bomb. And I don't know whose bomb it was, but they're dead today because America and Israel attacked Iran. So that's not really good for Iranian women. And our president is saying that the Iranian people are all of a sudden going to topple their regime. Well, I don't think the Iranian people are going to be toppling their regime when they're getting blown apart by the United States and Israel in an unprovoked attack. And yes, it was unprovoked. And Pete Hegseth said this morning, Megan, he said that we didn't start this war. But I hate to argue with the Secretary of the Department of War. America and Israel definitely started this war, and you can't lie that away to the American people. And so, you know how I feel right now? I am irate. I am furious about this. We are nearly $40 trillion in debt. How much is this war going to cost us? We have seen enough of our American troops dead and murdered for foreign countries. And now we've had 4 dead and murdered, just like you said, for Israel and for the Iranian people, not for the American people. And I don't want to see any more dead and murdered. Our military is filled with some of the greatest people from our country, and God bless their families who are probably losing their minds right now, terrified that their son or daughter or their husband or wife or brother or sister may come home in a flag draped coffin. And then we have the president who, by the way, Megan, this really needs to be said. Donald Trump has said repeatedly on camera and in interviews, he doesn't think he's going to heaven.
I mean, I'm being a little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven.
Well, I want to ask a question, a serious question. What is in his mind? What is his mental state? If he doesn't think he's going to heaven and he is a man towards the end, he's in the 4th quarter. He's towards the end of his life. How does that pan out for the rest of us when we have a president of the United States who doesn't think and is convinced he's not going to heaven? What does that mean his decision making is? He already said to the New York Post today that he doesn't care about the polling. He doesn't care about what the American people think, and he may put troops on the ground. He took this is going to be a few-day war, to now it's going to be maybe 4 weeks or more. I want to say, what is happening to the man that I supported, you supported, the man that denounced what happened in Iraq, the man that said no more foreign wars, no more regime change, promised it on the campaign. J.D. Vance promised it. Tulsi Gabbard promised it. All of them promised it. And we're a year in, and we're in another war, and we've got American troops being killed. I think it's time for America to rip the Band-Aid off, and we need to have a serious conversation about what the is happening to this country and who in the hell are these decisions being made for, and who is making these decisions.
Now, she said a bunch of valid stuff and asked a bunch of valid questions. Now, I don't think anybody else wants to see on the news that any more American citizens have died for a war that we have nothing to do with, right? And when she said, it's been a year now and we are in another war. And I wish she would have said another war that has nothing to do with us. Just in a year, right? And when she was talking about the stuff on the economy, when Donald Trump had the State of the Union, he barely kind of touched on the economy, and they were saying the stuff that he said was a lie. Now, I wasn't able to watch the State of the Union in its entirety because at the time I was at work and it decided to do a little bit of snow, so we had to go out and salt the roads and whatnot. But from what I gathered is that his version of what's going on in the economy is good and it's booming. Jobs is up there and jobs is doing good. Now, we're in a state where I feel like we are in the upside down or the topsy-turvy or something like that, because to hear a Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Nick Fuentes say what they saying, even what, Megyn Kelly, I'm going to have a video of her about to say, and Candace Owens as well. And I'm about to read a statement right now from the Hodge twins about, what's going on. These are people that you would never, like, you they are usually kissing the butt of Donald Trump. These people literally are having to expose him, because if they don't, then it exposes them, right? But the Hodge twins, they say President Trump has completely lied to his voters, backstabbed our country, and has disgraced his legacy beyond repair at this point. Biggest fall from grace I have ever seen. No, y'all are the biggest fall from grace that anybody has ever seen, but that is something for another time. And yes, they are correct. He lied to all of his voters. You know, he told them that their lives was going to be perfect on day one. He was going to lower the grocery prices, which is something that we as people know. Grocery prices do not go down. Gas fluctuates, maybe you know that, but grocery prices, they don't go down. When they go up, they stay up. What needs to happen is people's paycheck needs to go up. But all of that was supposed to change day one. We still sitting here in Cleveland, Ohio, with $3 gas and a looming war. So once again, none of what these people are saying are off base. But let's get into the next video. And yes, this video in particular is going to be a long one, because y'all got to hear what these folks are saying. Y'all got to hear what the MAGA folks are saying. The next video we about to play is a video of Tucker Carlson talking.
At some point, the United States has to get Bibi under control. Sorry, it's not anti-Semitism. This is a head of state whose decisions are getting Americans killed and affecting the history of the world and the fortunes, but also the future of the United States. The United States has to say to the government of Israel, you are not in charge. And no president since John F. Kennedy has been willing to say that, but no administration has paid a higher cost for going along than the current administration. And it's tragic when you think about it. And of course, it's not simply the administration, president, and everyone who works for him. It's the country and the people who voted for this president in the hope that he would improve their lives. And none of that will be possible if this continues. The fault, of course, is with anyone who went along with Bibi's demands or threats or whatever. But the root cause is Bibi and his ambitions. And so somebody immediately needs to say no.
So what Tucker Carlson is saying is true. Bibi Netanyahu needs to be put under control. There's no way that this man is not, under control right now. And, the best way to do that is stop giving them weapons. We are literally funding the wars that he's putting us in, right? But there's one problem with that. There's this site called Track AIPAC, and it shows you all the members of Congress that basically get money from AIPAC. We all know what AIPAC is. So we all know those congressmen and women, they're bought and paid for by Israel. So they're not gonna have the balls to tell this man to stop doing what he's doing. We are funding someone else's idea of war twice now. And that's what Nick Fuentes is about to get deeper into in this next video. Let's watch that.
Today, we actually have official confirmation, as official as it gets, from the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, but this is also retold in the New York Times, and it's claimed by other officials inside the administration. Unambiguously, Israel dragged us into this war. Not a conspiracy theory. It's not speculation. It's not even a theory. It is a fact. And today, Marco Rubio came out addressing the press pool, and he said, the reason we went to war is because Israel was preparing to strike whether we intervened or not. This is the statement. This was reported in the Times earlier today, and then Rubio confirmed that Israel was going to hit Iran regardless. So the decision was whether we would join them or not. The decision was made to join them because in the event that Israel struck Iran without us, Iran would retaliate against us regardless. This is the messaging. This is the statement. They said, so if we're going to get hit anyway, if Iran already has the missile launch platforms in place and the coordinates are entered in, and we're going to get hit no matter what, Rubio said, well, so we might as well hit Iran too, and we'll mitigate the potential damage from that inevitable retaliation. Now, here's the problem. It leaves out the fact that there is obviously a third option. So the way that Rubio tells the story is that Israel is planning to hit Iran. So the decision is binary. Either we're going to hit Iran with Israel or not. And if we're going to get retaliated against regardless, well, we might as well hit Iran too. Okay, but why are we starting in the middle of the story? Why don't we rewind and consider that Israel is a client state of the United States of America, completely dependent on U.S. military aid, on U.S. military technology, on U.S. diplomatic cover in the United Nations, for sanctions, its deterrent force. Why is Israel making the decisions here? Aren't they the client? Aren't they the satellite, the puppet? We're the superpower. We're the country of 350 million people. We're the country with the $30 trillion GDP. We have the $1 trillion military and the aircraft carriers and the 5,000 nuclear warheads. Why does Israel get to make the decision? Netanyahu picks up the phone and calls the White House and says, well, I've made the decision. We are going to war. You're either with us or not. And we have no recourse but to say, we're with you, maybe we're not. Obviously, the decision that should have been made, and I said this from the very beginning, if you want peace in the Middle East, Iran is not the problem. Iran is not the problem. Iraq was not the problem. Syria was not the problem. Israel is the problem. Why is there no peace in the Middle East? Because Israel does not want it. Israel will not let any of us have it. So if you want to deal with Iran, if you want to stabilize the region, the word you're looking for is restraint. We enable them. We empower them. They're dependent on us. If we want peace, it is incumbent on Washington to restrain Israel. Not Iran, not Russia, not China, not Syria, not the Houthis, not Hezbollah. We have to restrain Israel. And the U.S. president cannot or will not do that, and that is why we have war.
All of that. Now, I had another video of him, talking about how if 2028 comes and we don't have a Republican nomination that wants to put America first, he's gonna, basically convert to Democrat. But in the interest of not making this video as longer than it needs to be or longer than it could be, because the next video with I have a video with Candace Owens and another one with Megyn Kelly speaking. This video will be super long, but he said that he wants 2028, he wants a Trumpian candidate to get people fired up and whatnot. And I'm going to say, we don't need a Trumpian candidate. We have that now. And it also doesn't matter what candidate we have in. If they are taking AIPAC money, they are bought by Israel. That's a no-brainer. But let's continue with these videos.
Look, there are massive divisions over what we've done here, and people are going to change their minds over the coming days and weeks, one way or the other. But my own feeling is no one should have to die for a foreign country. I don't think those 4 service members died for the United States. I think they died for Iran or for Israel. I think I understand how this helps Iran perfectly well. I get it. I mean, I hope. Long term, we'll see. but they seem rather jubilant. 80% of the country does not support the Ayatollah. He was a terrible, terrible man. No one's crying that he's dead. No normal person. But our government's job is not to look out for Iran or for Israel. It's to look out for us. And this feels very much to me like it is clearly Israel's war. Mark Levin wanted it. It's his war. Ben Shapiro, Lindsey Graham, Miriam Adelson. That's obvious. They're the ones who've been pushing us into this.
Again, what she said is correct. Nobody wants to see that more American citizens, because American soldiers are American citizens, are dead because of a war that's not ours. Like that, none of this is computing to them, and it's not computing to everybody else. But now we're about to hear what Candace Owens have to say.
The reason that America wants a regime change in Iran is because Bibi Netanyahu is demanding it. And we also are completely done with the idea that, with this decades-long idea that we're doing it to spread democracy because we believe in international liberalism. There was no imminent threat to the United States when Trump made this decision to do what Bibi wanted. And I want to be clear here. This was not Trump's decision. It was Bibi Netanyahu's decision. And that is the reason that he did it. And we're very aware that Israel is dictating our foreign policy, and we would now like that to stop.
Okay, but
So the general message is that we are fighting in a war. We are or gearing up to be in a war with Iran, a war that has, that we are funding, that we have nothing to do with, and that we are being controlled by by basically an egomaniac. We need to quit giving him, resources, and we need to quit helping him. People have been saying this for a while. We need to that man. Something is really up with him. Something is completely wrong with him. This is, and that is the general mindset that has been going on. Yesterday, the Senate was having a vote on a resolution to basically rein in, Donald Trump, sending strikes. The resolution to halt military action against Iran failed in the Senate with a vote of 47 to 53. 47 to 53. Now, I bet you the 53 people that voted against it, you could probably find them on Track APAC. And if they're not on Track APAC, they are in the pocket of Donald Trump for some reason or the other. I still feel like this is probably something that's going on in a way to basically try to get people's minds off of the Epstein files, but they got to know at this point that is not happening. People want them files to be, resolved. People want to see some sort of action happen that we know that's a pipe dream, right? But in the interest of not making this video longer than what it already is, we are, hoping that things can rein in, especially with Netanyahu. We can hope that all of this is over. Pray for the people of this country. Pray for the people over there. And, keep high hopes. Also, in the comments, tell me, what do you think about this situation? How crazy it is? Do you think that it's going to turn into a full-on war? Do you think we're already there? What do you even think about MAGA, being forced to expose Donald Trump for what everybody else has been saying he was? Let me know all of that down in the comments. If y'all like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell because I will be back with another video.
The Truth TV. Subscribe, like, and comment.